us a introduction for those who don't know, even though you have several million views on YouTube already. Who are we sitting down with today?
I'm OG Bri-Dog out of Compton, California, out of the Willowbrook section of Compton, which is the Carver Park area.
And take us back and tell us about you know, your childhood in Compton, and you know, even talking to you now, you're obviously somebody who grew up you know, in some sense a normal household, talk intelligently and conduct yourself, and yet you have a very frightening and extensive criminal history. So, you know, where was the branch off? Like, what happened growing up?
All right, well, my origins are, my mother went to watch Jordan. She was the captain of the tennis team. My father went to Centennial High School. He led them 3 CIF championships. My neighborhood prior to being Carver Park was Palm Lanes. So I went to the school my father went to, my kids went to my school I went to.
I mean, was Compton at that point was a place, if you lived in an older part of South Central or Watts, you aspired to move to Compton?
Right, well, the reason we say the hub and the hub is Compton, city of the hub, and the dub stands for Watts. 90% of the people my age that live in Compton are related to people from Watts. So they migrated from Watts to Compton, people when they start making money, you know, I'm talking economically, legally making money. Good jobs, they start moving to Compton because of the housing and things of that nature.
Compton was the American dream. Sunny California, with a palm tree in the front yard, the camper, the boat. Temptingly close to the Los Angeles ghetto in the 50s and 60s, it became the black American dream. Now, with 74% of the population, black power is the fact of life, from banks to bowling alleys. Because of the housing and things of that nature, as with me, I grew up on 124th. I grew up in a cool household, grandparents. Now, my mother was an educator for over 35 years. You know, my father's a pillar of the community. They call him Coach. You know, he coached high school football and whatnot. Not. It's just when we got to the 7th grade.
What year was that?
1976.
So things were starting, as far as the gangs, things were starting to kick into high gear by that point.
Picking up, yeah. So I ended up going to LA schools because my mother was adamant on I wanted to have a better education, right? But with us, our older homeboys were basically like, you're gonna pick a side. You know what I mean? When you go to school, you are from this area. And that was like basically for everybody my age all over Los Angeles County. You had to pick a side.
Oh, as early as 1976 here.
Once you got, you know, if you were any part of one of the little kids hanging out, and the older homies saw potential, and the older homies weren't even 18. So it wasn't like grown men exploiting children. You know, you got your 15, 16-year-olds.
Telling you 12-year-olds.
Yeah, telling 12, 13-year-olds. Now, you know, you from over here, you know when you go to school, you're going to fight them dudes that are from over there.
Was there any, was the violence involving guns yet, or?
You had gunplay, which was a rarity, because the firearms consisted of 12 gauges that were sawed off. You know, you shoot a dude from here, half block, what are you going to give him, buckshots? You had 22 rifles. You had, if you had a 45, as we say.
That was a big deal.
It was a big deal. A 357 was a big deal, but it was mostly 38 Saturday night specials. So it was basically, you had to fight. Even my skinny self, I couldn't fight, but I had to fight.
And this was something interesting to me, and that I really learned being out here. Like, at their essence, the gangs, the Hispanic gangs, the black gangs in LA, they were not formed as like little crime families to like per se sell drugs or whatever. They're literally is like 1950s, we're the neighborhood tough guys and we're gonna fight you. It became something else, obviously.
Yeah, it morphed into that.
But in the beginning, so when you were young and it was the late 70s, it was about what? Like, what was a gang? What was the describe a gang beef? You know, in 1977.
Okay, 1977. Let's go like this. I look on the street and I see us crossed out.
But that didn't mean death at that point.
No, it didn't mean death. We'd cross them out. We walked a lot. What we called walked was we'd get together 20, 30 of us and we'd walk on the rival neighborhoods. We'd walk to their neighborhood. There's been times where one time I remember when I was 16, I'm sitting in Carver Park and I'm smoking some sherm by the boys club, and I look up and I say, damn. And here come about 50 bounty hunters on bicycles. And none of them had guns.
So they just coming over there to you know.
To whatever.
So they're the tough guys.
Right.
Basically. It wasn't about murder, control
Right.
your neighborhood, sell drugs. It was just.
The shootings really started, as far as I can recollect, was 1980, 1981.
The murder rate peaked in 1980 and then again in 93. So 80 was a high point for violence. There was a recession. What is it true that at least with the first generation or second generation that the Crips were a little more destructive or aggressive?
I'll say it for you. We were the dominant force in Los Angeles County. We were unified. We outnumbered the Bloods. Bloods, we used to say undercover because Bloods would come, they couldn't come to Congress unless they were undercover. So they would put on, you know, slacks, certain type of shoes, Flowstroms or whatever, Regals, and they would blend in as like a civilian. Crips, we always went with our Pendletons, our khakis, our crocus sacks, our Nick kickers, our blue bandanas, and let it be known, this is us, this is what we are. We're a menace.
My philosophy is if you're involved in gang activity and you get caught dirty and you violated the law, there's no free walks. You go to jail.
1980 is when...
And you were at what age in 1980?
16.
Okay.
That's when I became a shooter.
What's going, so I want to paint a picture. So you're in a household where mom, it sounds like she got a master's degree or something?
Yeah.
And she played tennis. I mean, it's on one hand, it's kind of Huxtable-ish in
Right.
a way, I guess you could say.
Right.
But on the other hand, you know, how is it that you're, or, you know, roaming around, getting into what you're getting into without, I mean, what's mom and dad saying, or what, or did they just
Okay.
not realize the gravity, or was it not that serious? Could it have been something that was ended if the LAPD was more effective?
1979, girls used to say, you bang, that's playing out.
Oh, so it was kind of.
This is what girls used to say to you, like, oh, you bang, man, that's playing out.
Oh.
You know, and dudes like, you bang, man, that's playing out.
Oh.
Dudes became more playerish as that disco era was fading, right? Yet, us core group of dudes that were gang banging, because we had already been exposed to the criminal element, fast money.
Okay, where was the money? Was it more like burglaries?
Most
Robberies?
90% of Crips and Bloods that had their first case was a robbery. That was our primary focal point of hustling.
So like a burglary or a robbery of a
Robbery,
person.
yeah.
And would it like robbery of like a regular person, or you gonna go rob the neighborhood weed man, or just
Things like that. Yeah, yeah, you know,
Wasn't
it was
necessarily
people
like
robbing.
snatching old ladies' purses.
No, it wasn't.
Hopefully not.
No, it wasn't that. That was actually frowned upon.
Yeah.
30 million. Okay, all right. Okay, here we have it. The Corvins. We got the Corvins. Okay, and right there. Ladies on there for 20.
Hood raid. I can stick it over the hood bag. You niggas ain't about to bust a crack. They got your whole.
We got. She running to the door. She scared. God. Hey, look. I'm like, damn. D-Dog. Okay, nigga. They giving it up. Look at walk. But it's okay though. We have it all. Everybody give it up. Get your ugly face out of there.
Or did you know the drugs may be starting to come in more?
Well, the PCP had been there, but what became lucrative was literally the Colombian weed.
Oh, that was.
We called it Bo. And then it became the Bo Love, where you would take a joint and you would dip it.
Into PCP. Okay.
So
it was heroin was not
heroin had
huge
been
out.
around. It had been around,
But it wasn't-
It was a generation above me.
Okay, but it never was as widespread here as like on the East Coast.
Except with the Hispanic gangs. Nearly every Hispanic gang member my age is a heroin addict.
Oh, wow, okay.
They started off shooting heroin at 13 and 12.
Okay, but that wasn't so much going on in the black.
No, the black
And
gang.
it's selling a lot of marijuana, PCP, maybe not you personally, but some gang members.
Well, I started selling joints at school.
Okay. And was that, I mean, that was like a real business?
I mean, okay, let me break down $25 in 1979. Pair of Converse.
And that's what you're making that a day?
Tennis shoes, no, but I'm just bringing down actually $25.
What you can do with it?
I go get me a pair of Converse. I can go buy me a pair of khakis. And I can go buy me a sweatshirt. And I can buy me a golf hat for $25.
And that's
For $100, 25 of that's gone. I have $75 left. I go buy me an ounce of bow, Colombian, for $60. That leaves me with $45 to shoot dice and to do whatever I want to do. I got a fresh pit and I got 100 joints to sell to school tomorrow
and
for
joints
$1.
what, $1?
$1 a piece.
Okay, so you're doubling, more than doubling.
And I could take $62.50 and go get a half ounce of PCP
Wait, a half ounce of PCP?
for $62.50
I thought PC.
out of the Nixon Gardens. I go give me $62.50.
Now that, well, you made a lot more than double on that.
Anything you buy PCP, even if you buy $20 pour, you automatically triple your money.
Oh,
So
62 is 200.
yeah, so basically in 1979, to get $100, you can invest it and you can turn it into literally $300.
And what was the, I know I heard of something called Sherm Alley.
Well, yeah, Sherm Alley was over there by the Black Pea Stones.
Okay, what, but was, how was the drug, so, you know, in the Midwest and East Coast, of course, a lot of outdoor stuff in Detroit, at apartment buildings. How was the drug economy going on in 1980 in LA? Was it people pulling up? Was it suburbanites? Was it
1980, okay, I can speak on only my geographical area. We sold PCP in Carver Park. We sold it in, you know, in our little neighborhood. Then you had what was called the Willowbrook tracks over there off of Laundry in Compton. And everybody sold Sherm on the tracks. We had like 5 different Compton Crip gangs because nobody was beefing. That was
so there'd be what, 20 people standing outside?
on the tracks.
And who was pulling up? Just all kind of people?
Everyone.
Suburbanites?
Everyone.
Everybody, okay.
Every nationality.
Okay, so that was a known,
So-
but there was nobody in general in charge of it. If you were from one of the gangs in the area, you could make
You just
your
come over.
little
I used to go on the
$200.
tracks. I used to go on the tracks, and I'm from all the way from the first neighborhood in Compton, and I'd go through roughly 10 different neighborhoods and go to Willowbrook tracks and sell my PCP.
And was there competition over customers, or there was just so much?
It was so much that, you know, it was enough money for everybody. Yet in the same token, that gave like a jump shot back to gang banging, because now you're able to buy your lowriders, you're able to buy your
It
Regals.
started to look good.
So now the girls in the Jordache jeans are starting to look at you.
Ah, okay. Now, what about also, did it give a jump shot in the sense of, hey, if this block or this track makes a couple thousand a day in PCP, that really gives us an impetus to not let no outsiders come over here.
And see, that's what I try to tell people, to fast forward real quick to the crack era. Everybody always seems to think that the 80s was shoot 'em up, bang, bang over gangs. It was actually, the more notoriety you got, no one can encroach on your territory. So therefore, if you go shoot them up so much, even though it's making the nightly news, the undercurrent is dudes who like, man, I saw such and such hanging out. And then you had your push buttons that'll go over there and shoot them up. But this guy is really knowing they're not gonna come over here and try to get a dope spot 2 blocks into our neighborhood.
A drive-by shooting. 3 injured in the latest violent game of tit for tat.
Got a graze to the head on this guy and a leg wound.
This guy's got a shot to the right temple area. Looks like a graze.
They say anything?
Nope.
Come on, straight out. You know what's
They
up.
didn't claim no set.
Did
don't
this
know
car
who it
drive
was.
by earlier?
Nope.
Anybody throwing any signs?
Nope, I ain't never seen it.
The final toll for our 48 hours will be 196 arrested,
Yeah, we're going to get tough. We're going to get tougher.
4 dead.
And if it takes fear, they fear us, fine. And that's let them fear us.